Today's Matrix Pro web seminar. Our presenters today are Jim Schoen and Rich Gould. I will now turn the presentation over to Jim.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for attending today's presentation. Today we'll have an information about Matrix Pro and the new and expanded capabilities delivered by the Matrix Pro software upgrade. Presenting today will be Rich Gould, Vice President of Product Development for TeeJet Technologies. Rich will take us through the details of Matrix Pro, and during the presentation, those members of the audience can submit questions, which we will address at the end of the presentation. Rich, good morning.
Morning, Jim, and good morning, everybody. Thanks for joining us today. As Jim suggested, we're going to be going through some of the updated features of the new Matrix Pro software that we've introduced. And so, without further ado, we'll move on into the program. We're going to talk about some of the new features, a tour of the new user interface, and we'll talk about some of the Matrix Pro's competitive advantages. As many of you know, the Matrix Pro was introduced about a year ago. We had a successful first year with the product. It proved to be very innovative with the guidance overview features. It proved to be a robust and reliable product, and we're really proud of that fact. We had a good year, a good strong year with very few technical problems, and we're looking to build on that and continue the success of this product line. Other key features of the Matrix Pro family is their ability to do automatic boom section control and automatic steering simultaneously with manual guidance and mapping capabilities. So this is a full function, full-featured precision farming tool. We have both the 570 and the 840 versions of the product, so there's two different screen sizes to choose from, and we have a number of different GPS receiver choices available so that you can choose the level of precision and accuracy that you need for your operation. So with that, we will press on and start talking about the new product a little bit. When we release the new Matrix Pro software, it will be available to anyone by a free USB upgrade. So that'll be placed on the TeeJet website, where existing owners can download the software. Of course, at that time, we'll also begin shipping Matrix Pro software from our production facility as well. So I guess the key point here is to emphasize that the software will be a free update available to anyone who owns an existing Matrix, and of course, at that time, we'll begin shipping the new software from the factory. Key features of the new software that we're going to summarize here this morning are a new user interface, and we'll spend a fair amount of time talking about that. A new guidance mode called Next Row Guidance, which is a headland turn functionality. We have a new A/B setting mode called A plus azimuth. Azimuth means really degree heading, so that you can enter a degree heading for your A/B line. We've got the new ability to create and save field boundaries, and that means external boundaries as well as internal. We have the ability to save and recall job data. We have a field finder capability, and we've added some video configuration capabilities as well. So we'll start with the screen layout changes. This is the face of the Matrix Pro, and this is what you see most frequently when you're operating the unit. And as you can see on here, there's some changes. We've got some controls and tools placed around the edges of the display, and those are always visible. Along here, these status icons are live now, and if you press those, a little window will pop up and show you status about their respective capabilities. And then down below at the bottom of the screen, we've got shortcut buttons to the home screen, tools, guidance, field review, and camera that allow you to go directly to those functions without navigating back to a home screen. So it's nice, quick, easy to use. Easy to get used to, and less button presses than was required with the old user interface. Additionally, this arrow here on the right side pops out a little tool tray that allows you to do things like set the A/B point, mark a return to point, mark a field boundary, and things like that. Another really cool function of the new user interface is the ability to add, or I should say to select the data that you view in these areas up at the top of the screen. So just by tapping that, the operator can choose to see speed, area covered, that's area covered, the current time, the current swath number, or his current heading in this pane up here. And identically on the other side, you have the same choice of data. So the operator can choose exactly which piece of information he wants to see there. I think that's a really nice functional improvement on the Matrix Pro.
Okay.
Moving forward, just a few other screenshots here to show the user interface updates. Many of these functions and settings are the same things that you may be familiar with from the Matrix Pro in the past. They're just organized a little bit differently. A lot of times there's more information on a single page, which means that there's less navigation between pages. But I think at the same time it's easier to get at, easier to understand, easier to access. Specifically now, moving on to a couple of the features that I mentioned earlier. The first one to talk about is Matrix Pro. This is a new guidance mode that's added in this new software version. And this is really a end row turning aid rather than a on swath or on the pass guidance mode. And the way it works is that when you're reaching the end of a row, in a row crop situation, the operator will mark B, which indicates to the console that you're beginning a turn, and then it will measure from that point over to your next swath and guide you back to the next correct row for your row crop application. So as you, again, to summarize that, I'm exiting my pass in a row crop scenario. Let's say I'm spraying a post-emergence row crop, for example. I hit B, make the headland turn, and as I'm doing that, the console will use the guidance functionality to guide me to the correct next pass, and as soon as I enter that pass and become established on the next line, then the guidance will cease because I'm on the row and I have to follow the row, so guidance isn't really relevant anymore. I continue down that pass until I get to the other end of the field when I press B again, again to start that next turn. So it's a way to help operators in a row crop, existing row crop situation. The next new setting is A+ azimuth, and again to reiterate that azimuth means a degree heading. So to explain this a little bit, you can look at this compass rose, it's called, or a compass chart, where if you imagine this superimposed on the ground, north is 0 degrees facing up or north. East is 90 degrees, south is 180, and west is 270 degrees. And in this guidance mode, it works in straight A-B. What the operator does is press that A arrow icon, and then a little keypad comes up, and the operator presses in his degree heading, and a line is marked, a straight line is marked with exactly that degree heading. So it's it's a very simple way to mark a very specific A-B line.
Rich, can you describe how this feature can be used when you have multiple vehicles in the same field?
Well, one of the best ways of using this feature is with multiple vehicles. And let's say you have several tillage rigs in a field and you want to make sure that their passes are all parallel. You can establish a line with one of them at a particular degree heading and then communicate to the other operators, by the way, let's say, for example, make sure you mark your line at 30 degrees. And then once you've done that, all the lines for all the vehicles are going to be identically parallel, and you can be sure that you're going to be, you don't have one machine operating at a few degrees different heading than another machine, and it's a way to make everything come out perfectly.
Good. Rich, can you tell us a little bit about creating boundaries with the new Matrix Pro?
Well, that's one of the new features of this software release, is the ability to create and store external boundaries, but also to create internal boundaries. And the internal boundaries that we can create are, the typical scenario is to create a boundary around a wet spot or a waterway or another obstacle in the field that you are not going to apply. And it's also important to note that when you do create an internal boundary, first of all, there has to be an external one first. Then you can create an internal boundary, and all internal boundaries are automatically no spray zones, so that if you are using automatic section control, those areas, those internal boundaries will not be sprayed.
Okay. And Rich, how many interior boundaries can you make?
That's something not on the slide, but we can have up to 5 internal boundaries per field or per external boundary, if you will.
Okay. And one other question about boundaries. You may cover this later in the presentation, but can you recall these boundaries?
Yes, you can. So that's one of the big improvements to Matrix Pro, is that once you've created these boundaries, you can recall them and use them again, and they're not lost as soon as that job is finished.
Okay.
Pressing on, then, we have a tool to help the operator manage that data. It's called the TeeJet Job Manager. This is a little PC utility that allows you to transfer data from the console to a management computer via the USB stick, so that data can be saved and reused again in subsequent jobs and subsequent years. So that makes the creation of boundaries and so on a lot more valuable, and allows you to benefit from that effort on down the road. Another function that's new in Matrix Pro is what we call Field Finder. This is kind of a clever feature that really just looks at the jobs that are in the console's memory, and then based on your current location, it places the 2 closest jobs at the top of the list. So that if you have a console full of existing jobs and you drive to a particular field, the unit will automatically pull up the field that's closest to give you the best chance of choosing the right job that you intend to execute at that moment. So it just creates it easy, and probably saves a bunch of looking around through a list of data and trying to make sure that you get the right job for that application.
Okay, so we have talked about many new features with Matrix Pro, which will make it much more competitive in the market. It's a multitask guidance device. Basically, we talked about the new screen layout and the user interface. We talked about new next row guidance, which is a unique and very usable feature within the product. A+ azimuth. We also talked about the ability to create, save, and recall internal and external boundaries. We talked about the data management and PC utility, and also you just mentioned Field Finder. I think at this time Rich is going to talk about some other changes that we've made to the product, and he's going to start off with flexible video settings.
That's right, Jim. One of the other changes in Matrix Pro is the ability to configure the video. This is a fairly detailed issue here, but as many of you may know, you can connect a single video camera directly to a Matrix console. If you want to connect more than one, you use a module called a video selector module, which connects either as many as either 4 or 8 cameras up to this module, which then connects to the console. Those functions and capabilities are still in place. You can connect 4 or 8 cameras to either the 570 or the 840 console. The change that I want to draw your attention to is the fact that with the 570 console, you have the ability to manipulate a single image connected from a single camera. And by manipulate, I mean that you can flip it either vertically or horizontally, so that you could mount a camera upside down, for example, and still see it right side up on your console, and you can mirror the image so that it can be a reverse camera, and you can do those things without the need for a video selector module. And again, due to some technical reasons, that function is available on the 570 only and not on the 840, that being one of the very few differences between the two consoles.
And in 2010, as we introduced the Matrix product, and now with Matrix Pro, the video capabilities with this product in this class of guidance products has been a real popular feature. It's provided additional safety features to the product as far as traveling down the road, and also more visibility of operation on the machine during applications.
Okay, we'll move along here and talk a little bit about some extra tools that are now in the matrix. We have two primary tools. One is a calculator. It's just a straightforward mathematical calculator, so that if you want to do some calculations in the field and you don't have a calculator in the cab or in your pocket, you can go to this function on the console. It's very handy. And we also have a unit converter that allows you to convert area, length, and volume measurements from different units to measure, English and metric, and different units and so on. So just a couple of handy utilities that are now standard in the console. Another change to draw your attention to is also probably fairly technical and hopefully not too difficult to explain. It deals with curved A-B mode, and you can see on the left here, actually let me start on the right. When we mark an A-B line and a curved A-B, the console remembers the course that we take between the A and the B lines, and then duplicates that repeatedly to create, my ABs. They're all identical to the first one in this mode. What happens beyond that A and B is what's in question here, and the operator now has the ability to select whether the AB line is extended in a straight line between the A and the B, as is shown on the right-hand side here, or if the console extends those lines beyond the A and B in the heading that was taken as that A line was either entered, initiated, or when you depart the B line. And again, it's a pretty technical, subtle detail, but in different situations, it could mean a lot to an operator to have this work one way or the other.
Okay, Rich, thanks. That, I think, wraps up many of the new features of the product. And at this point in time, Rich is going to review some of the existing features and take a look at the user interface and how that has changed on some of the existing features of the Matrix product.
Yeah, that's right, Jim. These next few slides really just show some screenshots that allow you to see the way that we've organized the information in the Matrix Pro. A lot of these things will look familiar. The same kind of settings we've seen before. For tilt, for example, you have to still do the leveling process where you level the machine in one direction, then turn it around and face the other direction, and the console will calibrate the tilt sensor that way. The next one to look at is light bar configuration with the brightness and the sensitivity of the LEDs and the steering mode and things like that. Again, very similar, if not identical, settings and functionality to what we've seen before, but a new way of looking at that information and a new way of setting it. And then finally, we have settings for the GPS type. Most of these consoles ship with internal GPS. You always have the ability to connect an external GPS to Matrix consoles. If you want to bring a different type or a different quality of GPS signal into the unit, it's ready to use it.
Good. In the next couple slides, Rich is going to kind of recap and review what the specifications of the product are, and he's going to start off with display characteristics.
Yeah, we have a few slides here that show the specifications of the Matrix consoles. I'm not going to read through all these. You can review these later. You can download the presentation and take a look at this stuff. Just a couple of things to draw your attention to. We have two display sizes available depending on your preference or your operator's preference. You can choose either a 5.7 or an 8.4 inch display, so that's a nice choice to have available. Also want to draw your attention to the fact that all the software updates are done by USB stick, so it's very convenient. You can download a file, put it on a USB stick, and insert that into the console, and then the console will upgrade itself. So that's a convenient way of doing maintenance and improvements along the way. The next chart here shows some GPS characteristics to reiterate the fact that we use high-quality internal GPS receivers, but if for any reason you want to add an external device, an external receiver, we're ready to use that. I will talk a little bit later in the presentation about the GLONASS functionality, but that's a new capability for this version of console, so that's pretty interesting. Let's see, the next slide is going to talk about some other general features and capabilities, and the things that I'd like to draw your attention to here are, of course, the unique guidance over video capability. That's still an exclusive feature to our product line, and we're real proud and real excited about that. We have automatic boom section control capability to control up to 15 sections, and the another thing to draw your attention to there is that we offer a wide range of cables and kits that allow you to connect the Matrix Pro up to many third-party rate controls, TeeJet, Midtech, or many other brands of controls, and even other machine-specific cables, so that it's very easy to install automatic boom section control on many, many rate controls that are out there. Finally, draw your attention to the fact that we still do the same type of reporting that we've done in the past, the data reporting. Coverage maps can come out of the console in either a PDF, a pre-made PDF report, a shape file format that can be imported to many management systems, or into a Google Earth KML file for viewing, so you can view your application data over the top of a Google Earth background, which is a really interesting and clever capability. Good.
Rich, could you talk a little bit about the price-value relationship of how Matrix will fit into the marketplace?
Sure will. This slide is a view, or I guess I should say it's probably our view of how the Matrix Pro consoles fit into the marketplace. We certainly are aware of the fact that there are many competitors out there that offer different levels of capability at different prices, different values, and you see the Matrix Pro 570 and 840 in this chart, and we feel that these offer a very high degree of value. Looking at the left axis here, the vertical axis, that's features and performance, so the higher the better. We think that these offer very high levels of performance and capabilities at very attractive prices. So I should have explained the axis here. The bottom axis is price, so higher price to the right, lower price to the left. And we consider that, that guidance, basic guidance products, to be everything to the left of that center vertical line. Once you move off into the right, you get into more sophisticated products that include rate control capabilities and things, and really becomes a different product category. So again, to summarize, we think that the Matrix products are really a high-value, high-capability product at very attractive prices.
Good. The next topic we're going to cover right now is going to go into some of the accessories that are available for the Matrix product, and Rich is going to begin with the Matrix receiver accessories and updates.
Yeah, along with the software updates that we've been talking about, there's going to be some changes to the GPS receivers that are available in the console and those that are available as options from TeeJet. So we'll talk about those for a few minutes. I'd say the biggest change to talk about here is the fact that all of our consoles will now have ClearPath as standard in them. When Matrix Pro is released, when we start shipping those consoles, they'll ship with a GPS receiver that includes the ClearPath capability, where that was previously an extra cost option. It will now be standard. Replacing that premium capability or premium kit that was available previously is the GLONASS capability, so that for a small upgrade in price, operators will have the choice of choosing a GLONASS compatible GPS receiver to be inside the Matrix console. And I'll talk a little bit more about GLONASS in a few minutes. We also have a new external receiver available for those operators who want a higher degree of accuracy. It's the RX510 dual frequency smart antenna. Smart antenna referring to the fact that this is a receiver and an antenna in one package that's designed to be mounted outside on the roof of the machine most frequently. It's a very robust design, weatherproof, very durable. This offers GPS and GLONASS compatibility. It's SBAS or WAS capable, WAS, EGNOS, other space-based correction systems. It's also probably its most important feature in our product line is its ability to use the OmniStar HP and XP correction signals for much higher levels of accuracy. It has built-in status LEDs, so you can tell how it's operating just by looking at the receiver itself. Again, very rugged, very robust design. We can see in the next slide here a quick release bracket that's available so that the receiver could be removed and moved between vehicles or put in a secure area if you didn't want to leave it on a machine unguarded. So that's also available, and you can see the part number there for the quick release bracket. And then a little bit more information about OmniStar subscriptions. In the U.S., OmniStar VBS and XP are available for $800 per year. You can also get sub-year subscriptions for shorter terms. OmniStar HP is available for $1,500 a year, and again, these are subscriptions that are between the receiver owner and OmniStar. So you have to, when you buy a receiver, you would have to call OmniStar and give them your serial number, and they'll enable these functions on your receiver for the specified subscription time. Of course, the reason for doing this is to get the level of accuracy that you see here. OmniStar HP is probably the most frequently used one, and you can get less than 10 centimeter or about 4-inch accuracy with that in a repeatable manner. So it offers a very high degree of accuracy that would be suitable for planting row crops or other higher precision operations than are typically possible with just a WAS correction level. I mentioned I was going to talk a little bit more about GLONASS. Just to touch on that, GLONASS is the Russian equivalent of the GPS system. It's a completely independent satellite constellation. There are currently 20 satellites in the system. They're planning to add more. They've been investing heavily in the constellation in the recent years. It's for applications in North America. It has some benefit, but it's fairly limited. What it really provides advantages is situations where, for whatever reason, you are not able to see enough constellation of GPS satellites to get a position solution. Could be probably the most common one in agriculture is because you're operating at the edge of a field where there are trees overhead and they're blocking a view of a portion of the sky, and if in that condition you would lose your GPS solution, with the ability to look at GLONASS satellites, you would probably not lose your position because there's more satellites in view. A couple other details about antennas that are being introduced with Matrix Pro. We're making a transition to a new version of the RX-830 that will be compatible with GLONASS. The good news about this one is there will be no part number change, no price change. It's just a running change, and actually I believe at this time we're already shipping these GLONASS compatible antennas. Also wanted to take this opportunity to draw your attention to the fact that the RX-830 is a helix antenna design. Other products on the market describe themselves as helix antennas, and that is in fact the antenna design that's inside the RX-830. You can see down here in the left corner of the slide the helix antenna design that's inside there, as opposed to the patch antenna design that's shown on the right side there. So it's just a more sensitive, more robust, and more costly antenna design, but it does provide higher performance. We have a lot of customers who use that exclusively and have become very happy with its performance and its reliability. And then finally, a bit of a detail on the patch antennas for GLONASS. Unlike the RX-830, where we have one antenna that covers both applications, on the patch there's separate antennas. So for your existing standard non-GLONASS kits, you'll continue to receive the same patch that you've received in the past. But I just want to draw your attention to the fact that if you use GLONASS, you will need a different patch antenna. Of course, it will be included in our GLONASS kits, but just be aware of the fact that it's a different part number and it has a different price for the GLONASS patch. Okay, I think Jim's going to talk a little bit about part numbers here and the descriptions. So, Jim, if you want to talk about that a little bit.
Sure, Rich, thank you. As you can see, we've got several different part numbers that are listed up here. I'm not going to go through and read through these individually, but I think the good news, as Rich mentioned here, is that our kit numbers are going to remain the same. The part number on the actual consoles will change, but the kit numbers that you see here are going to stay the same. The other thing is that with Matrix Pro, there's not going to be a price increase on the product. As Rich mentioned before, it's a free upgrade, and the pricing that was in existence on September 1 of 2010 will carry through for the rest of this season. And again, the part numbers for both Matrix 570 and 840, as you can see, for the kits, will remain the same. The descriptions might change slightly because of the improvements in the receivers. But other than that, everything is pretty much status quo with regards to those part numbers. Rich, I've got a question for you. When will the Matrix Pro be available?
Well, we're anticipating that the Matrix Pro is going to ship and the software will be available to download right at the end of March. We're going very strong in our testing program right now. It's been going for some time, and we're racking up very high numbers of hours in testing various places around the world. So, and things are going pretty well. We have to finish out that process, but we're looking at end of the March release. And we'll be in touch with you through our sales organization with more resolution and better details about that as the information becomes available. But that's what we anticipate right now.
So with that being said, we encourage everybody to be bringing in hardware, and when the software upgrade comes up, you'll be able to upload that, and then once the product is released, all the product coming out of the factory will be released with the new Matrix Pro software.
That's right.
So that's good news.
Yep.
Advertising is hitting the publications right now in March and April and through the rest of the season. This is the advertising that you'll see. We'll be talking about the new different features of the product that Rich had gone through, Nextro, and several of the other features. But just want to let you know that that advertising is hitting the publications here in March and April across North America. So at this point in time, that pretty much wraps up the presentation of the Matrix Pro. We thank you for your attention and participation, and at this point in time, we'll be taking questions. Okay. All right. I believe our moderator there, Michael, are you online?
Again, to ask a question, you can use the Q&A panel located on the left-hand side of your screen. Simply type in your question, click the Ask button to submit.
Okay, so we've got several questions that have been asked, and we'll go down the line here. The first one is, will there be a new user manual for the Matrix Pro? And yes, there will be. As you can see, there's been several changes to the user interfaces, additional features added. So a new user manual will be shipped with the product and also available online. The next question I'll direct over to Rich regards to the Nextro feature. And the question is, will it work with Field Pilot? Rich?
So the answer to that question is yes. You can use the Nextro end row turning function with a field pilot, which is the TeeJet auto steer system. The way that would typically work is you would exit your pass and mark B the way I described earlier, and then maybe when you're halfway through your turn and getting reasonably close to your next pass, you would engage the autopilot, and it would guide the machine right into the next pass. So it's working out really well. It's a good way to find the next row without the operator having to count rows and so on. But so that's the long answer. The short answer is yes, it works with field pilot.
All right, thank you, Rich. The next question is, does the internal boundaries automatically deduct acres from the total?
The answer to that is also yes. We didn't get into this detail during the presentation, but anytime you create an internal boundary, the console will automatically report up the area inside the total bounded area, the total bounded acres. It will report the number of acres inside the internal boundaries, and then the net area inside the external, but outside the internal boundaries, which would probably be the net workable or applied area. So it does all that for you and keeps track of all those different areas.
Okay. And along those same lines, another question was asked about no spray zones, both interior and exterior.
The way that we treat boundaries is that we do not spray outside of a boundary, outside of an external boundary, which would typically be a field boundary. We do not spray outside of that. And any internal boundaries that are created are automatically treated as no spray zones. So we only spray inside the external boundaries and outside the internal boundaries.
I think most of the participants here today are part of our channel customers, and one question was asked, will the presentation be available in a PDF or a PowerPoint format? And yes, it will. You can contact your regional sales rep for TeeJet, and they would be glad to help you out with that. Rich, here's a question about ClearPath. You mentioned that in the presentation. Could you please give us a brief description of what ClearPath does?
I'll try to do that. ClearPath is a technology that resides inside the GPS receiver that improves the stability of the GPS position. Now, it doesn't make it more accurate. It doesn't take WAS and make it RTK or anything like that, but it's designed to improve the positioning in a dynamic environment where the GPS receiver is in motion, which is very much what our agricultural applications are, and give a more stable output. And it does create a noticeable improvement in the stability of your guideline in our application. So that's what ClearPath is, and we think it has a real benefit, and we think that if you compare a receiver with ClearPath and one without, that you'll notice the improvement.
Okay.
There's another question here about the ability to store A-B lines in boundaries. We didn't get into that in great detail, but you are able to create multiple guidelines in a particular job with the Matrix Pro, and you are able to save the boundaries for reuse at a later time. So that's another point of clarification that it's good to make here. Thanks for that question.
Okay, another one is about Field Finder, and how many fields can the Matrix Pro store?
Well, we treat fields as a component of a job. So really the question, just for clarification, should be how many jobs can the Matrix Pro store? And there's no actual limitation to the number of jobs. It has to do with the memory, the total memory available in the Matrix Pro. Depending how much application data is stored in the console will depend how much memory space is available for other things like jobs or boundaries or guidelines and things like that. But the heavy hitter in this data storage is application coverage data. So without embarking on a whole conversation about how many hours we can store, what we do say is that we can store, in a worst case scenario, we can store up to 40 hours of application coverage time that has to do with how big the booms are and how fast the machine's moving and things like that. And in most circumstances, that number is going to be way more than 40 hours of actual application time, but that'd be considered a worst-case scenario. And to get back to the original question, there really is no actual limitation on the number of jobs that we can store in the console.
Okay. Here's a good question. Will the download for the Matrix Pro 570 be the same for the Matrix Pro 840? Yeah,
When we post this software update on the website, it'll be the exact same file, and it'll work for both 570s and 840s.
Okay. Let me see. We've got a couple more questions here. Rich, let me see.
Well, here's another one about the ability to store AB lines. I think we've got that one. The part number for the new user's manual, I don't think we have that on hand at the moment. That'll be posted on our website as soon as it's available, so we'll be able to get that out to you as soon as we're done with it.
There's another question. Can the ClearPath product be upgraded into an existing RX-830 receiver antenna? And I think, first of all, to clarify that, the RX-830 is just an antenna, right, and the ClearPath feature resides within the receiver. Do you want to talk about those details?
I think what that question means is, if I have a ClearPath console, can I upgrade that and use an RX-830 antenna? And the answer is yes. So that's just another benefit. If you had an RX-830 and a ClearPath console, you're getting 2 more incremental improvements over your GPS position.
So I think that about wraps up our time for the day. If there is a question that you have asked and we have not gotten to it, we'll make sure that we get back a direct response to you and make sure that comes here very quickly. I think Rich has got some closing comments.
Yeah, I want to thank everyone for your time today. We appreciate your signing up and participating in the webinar. And again, as Jim mentioned, if there are some questions that we weren't able to get to, we'll respond to you individually. And thanks for your time, and I think we'll wrap up the call.
Thank you, Rich. Thanks for your participation, and we look forward to seeing you this season.
Thank you again for joining us. This concludes our program. You may now disconnect from the audio and meeting portions of this event. Thank you.